What's up everybody, Trinity here, and welcome back to 2nd Street. The Dawn of X rolls on this week with 3 new issues hitting the shelves. First, we're going to talk about X Factor issue number 2, Leah Williams' second entry into the Dawn of X universe. And then after that, we're going to talk about Hellions issue number 3. Zeb Wells and the team hit full stride in this issue. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about Jonathan Hickman's X-Men issue number 11 and all the goodness that is inside of that. And we're going to save spoilers for the end of the video in case you don't want the book ruined for you, in case you haven't read it yet. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this first issue. We're going to talk about X Factor issue number 2. This book is being written by Leah Williams. David Baldeon is the artist. Israel Silva is the color artist. And VC's Joe Caramagna is the letterer. Ivan Shavrin is the cover artist. Now this book starts off, we start off in Krakoa as we see somebody arrive in Krakoa and they deliver this package to the doorstep at the boneyard. And we see Aurora then approaches the boneyard there. She finds the package and takes it inside where the team is all there hanging out, and we find out that there has been a murder in Mojoverse. And then we see the team go off on their second mission to Mojoverse after a little bit of banter before they get there. Upon arriving, we see that they are met, they kind of end up in like the security line, and they're wondering what's going on. They ask somebody else what's going on there, and it turns out that they have to basically gain entry into Mojoverse by being voted for, and to do this they have to have a sponsor. And that's when, you know, we get introduced into the person who's going to sponsor them, or the person that they really want to talk to as they begin their investigation there in the Mojoverse of the murder of this mutant, or this missing mutant. But altogether, I've got to say, I thought this issue, it was okay. It's definitely not Leah Williams' best work, but I think the story going on here definitely lends itself to something that Leah Williams should be able to write. I'd just like to see her step up the writing a little bit better. I loved her work in The Amazing Mary Jane. This seems like a little bit of a step back so far, but again, we are only in issue number 2. The other thing about this book is the art in this book. It really matches Leah Williams' type of storytelling and the story going on here. I'm not too particular on the art itself. The coloring is really good. The art, again, just not my thing, you know. But it fits the story going on here. Altogether, I thought this issue, it was okay. I would like to see this series just pick up a little bit more, and then, you know, just see what's going on with this series altogether and what it's adding into the Dawn of X series here so far. But let me know what you thought about X Factor issue number 2 down in the comments below. We'll get into the next issue, and we'll save some spoilers for the very end, a little bit of spoiler talk if we want to go over any of that. Now let's go ahead and get into this next issue. That's Hellions issue number 3, being written by Zeb Wells. Steven Segovia is the artist, David Curiel is the color artist, and VC's Ariana Mayer is the letterer, and Tom Oler is on design, and Steven Segovia and Rain Barreto are the cover artists. Now, Hellions issue number 3, let me tell you, man. This book, first off, you guys know that in case you've been here on the channel long enough, I love horror comic books. I love kind of the goriness and everything. And this issue starts off absolutely beautiful. Here in the first few issues, I love it. What's going on here? We see that the team, we see that Havok there is there with Madelyne Pryor. You know, we saw this happen in the last issue where they got to the house, the cloning facility there of Mr. Sinister, and Madelyne Pryor was there, and Havok was there, Alex Summers, and what's going on here is she's sitting there telling him the story about their past, and she ends up, like warping his mouth closed, and she's sitting there telling the story to him, and he's sitting there getting furious, and he just cuts his mouth open with this piece of glass and starts talking to her, and she just jumps on him, and because she loves it, and they just have this scene together. I'm just like, whoa, it's oddly, it's disturbing and sick, and I love it. It was great. It was great. And then after a handful of white pages, you guys know how much I love those. We jump right into this next panel, and we see a bunch of this beautiful art. Now, the art in this book has been good altogether, but we jump in here into the story where we picked up, where we left off in the last issue, where we see Wildside there. Or Wild Child, I'm sorry, having a fight, getting into a tussle with Psylocke, and we kind of see that going on here pretty much through most of the issue, and just the team kind of getting in some altercations here with Madelyne Pryor's team of dead Marauders, I guess you could say. Dead Marauders? The former Marauders? I'm not sure what they call them. The Legacy Marauders. I think that's what it was. Something like that. And just like some really great stuff here. The art in this issue is absolutely great. The layouts in this issue were great. We got a bunch of big panels with little panels all there in between. Just some beautiful work. Now, this issue really came around in the artwork, because I know the first two issues of this series I kind of had some nitpicks with. The first one especially, it got a little bit better in the second issue, and here in issue number 3 they hit a full stride, and I'm telling you, I love this book. This is probably one of my favorite books that I read this week that came out, and it's a good one, and this is definitely my favorite of all 3 of these books that we are talking about here today. And just, I can't wait to see what else is getting ready to go on here, because in case you don't know what Mr. Sinister's what he does here throughout the Dawn of X, is very interesting, the role that he plays, and some of the stuff that we learned in the House of X and Powers of X. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen in this story as it progresses with Madelyne Pryor. We see Alex Summers here. He wants some of that, okay? Let me put it to you that way. But very interesting to see how this is going to progress here, especially with Psylocke's team and her kind of being under the control of Mr. Sinister and those white pages. Those white pages. You know how much I love those. But let me know what you thought about Hellions issue number 3. If you have any thoughts or theories or anything, let me know all of those down in the comments below, and we will go ahead and get into this next and last issue. We're going to be talking about X-Men issue number 11. This one is being written by Jonathan Hickman. The art is done by Lionel Francis Yu. Sonny Go is the color artist, and VC's Clayton Cowles is the letterer. Tom Muller on design, and Lionel Francis Yu and Sonny Go are the cover artists. Now, this book is really good. It has a lot of stuff happening in this particular issue. It starts off, we see a team of mutants. They arrive there. They're in Krakoa, and they are at the Araco Point, and they come upon the summoner who is there. Looks like he's getting ready to play this game. And they decide, I believe his name is Rockslide, decides to sit down and play this game with him. And just everything going on here is all kind of cryptic. What's being said here as they decide to get into this game and play along. Which just the whole setup here is very interesting. It's very interesting too, as compared to what happens. I like following this in the following pages here, as we see the Cotati arriving in Krakoa to start a fight. And this is where the issue really gets good. But we also get some more scenes here, like we've seen in some previous X-Men books as well, where we see Exodus is there talking with these children, kind of like almost like they're in school, maybe like they're in Sunday school, where he's telling this story about Magneto and really building him up and making him seem all grandiose and this big hero that he is for the mutant cause. And it's really cool, really interesting what's going on here with these kids and the dialogue and just everything that's going on in there with that. We've seen this in one of the previous issues, and as he's sitting there talking, that's when we see Magneto starting to suit up, as the Cotati had arrived there in Krakoa, and we see Magneto getting ready to suit up. We see all of his different suits and everything, and then we see him go into action with some of the X-Men as they fight back against these Cotati. Whole bunch of great cool stuff in this issue. Now, I gotta tell you, in this particular issue, man, you know what? I'm not really huge on Lionel Francis Yu's art. Not the best artist, not the worst artist neither. You know, just he's okay. And they're, you know, just I have some nitpicks sometimes, but I've got to tell you, in this particular issue, they really hit all the marks. I thought at the beginning the Summoner and all those characters, they looked really good. We seen Magneto and all the action with the X-Men as the Cotati arrived. The art in this book was very good. I really did like this issue. The coloring as well, I thought was really good. Now, of course, like I was saying in Hellions with the layouts and everything, this one, it wasn't quite as good. I wish we could get some of that in here, but I think in the Hellions one, it was just like we got a little more was a little bit. Little less was more. Here, there was just so much going on. They had to show us so much, and I thought it was really good here in X-Men issue number 11. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we will go ahead and get into some spoilers here about these books. Now, let's start off with the X Factor book right here. Now, there's something interesting here as we've seen that person arriving to Krakoa to deliver that package there to the doorstep, and it obviously must have been at a weird time. And in Krakoa, we've seen the five they were sitting there just kind of talking and everything. It was interesting what they were talking about too. They were having a conversation about Proteus and his husk, because don't forget that Proteus actually uses the husk, his body that he uses to come back when he resurrects, which happens. I can't remember how often they said that he goes through a body, but he uses the body of Professor X as a host body, as a husk. So let's not forget that. Let's not forget that. But also, how is this person arriving on Krakoa to deliver this package as well? Is this a mutant that's delivering it? Otherwise, we might have seen with all the Krakoan defenses, Black Tom Cassidy, maybe come to the defense, or maybe some sort of other alerts there as this person came up to deliver this package. Just interesting stuff here. And then that was really all I really got out of this, other than them going to Mojoverse to figure out what's going on with this murder. And it's just really cool here. I think the Mojoverse obviously also is another one of these types of societies that we see throughout these Dawn of X books, and would be one of these types of societies that is out there, just part of everything going on here in the Dawn of X. That's kind of what's the theme here of this whole series, of these types of societies and how they all seem to clash together and basically not really get along here. But it's interesting. We don't know who this mutant is, and nobody really seems to have a clue either. I don't know. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot going on in this book, but it also feels like there's just something. Like we're just waiting for that thing here. And again, that could be Leah Williams writing here that I think could be a little bit better. But I don't know. This is only issue number 2, so maybe they'll hit full stride just like they did in Hellions issue number 3 this week, guys. Dude, this one was freaking great. I love this book. Like I said, all of this stuff that's happening in this book, I don't know a whole lot about Madelyne Pryor or anything like that. That's the beautiful thing about me doing these videos, because trust me, I'm not going to act like I know something that I don't know about any of these books. I have no real clue who Madelyne Pryor is or anything, other than what a lot of you guys who come in here on the comment section and help educate me and point me in the right direction, or just kind of help fill me in. It's awesome touching base with you guys. I've just everything, like, just what I've learned from you guys is great. But here in the second issue, Madelyne Pryor kind of telling the story about like her and the Summers boys and everything. This whole stuff was freaking great. I love this book. Like I said, the horror kind of elements and everything in here, absolutely great. I loved it. I'm telling you, I love this book. I can't tell you. But it's interesting to see what's going to go on with Alex Summers here and Madelyne Pryor, because I don't really know a whole lot about what she's doing. But we do know that in the House of X and Powers of X series, we did learn that basically Mr. Sinister is going to betray the mutants. They had a thing there called the Betrayal. He's going to betray the mutants after making all these different clones of the mutants and things like that, doing the Shimmeras and all of those different things. So we know something's going on here with some of that, I would guess, is what some of this is talking about. I thought, and other than that, like just seeing some of that set up there, I think that's really about it, what she's going to be doing there with these other, and I can't even remember what they called them, the Legacy Marauders, is that what they called them, I believe? Very, very interesting stuff there. I don't know. I won't pretend to know a whole lot about that at all. But just cool stuff being set up here in this book. And again, I thought the art in this book was freaking fantastic. The layouts in this book was great. It seems like they gave us a little bit more by giving us less in this book. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. And then everything else here for this week, as far as things tying in here in all of these series, is in X-Men issue number 11. Again, we're talking about the types of societies here where the Cotati are coming down to Earth and Krakoa and getting into the whole fight. Very interesting stuff. We know that that's what's going on here, is all these different societies trying to dominate one another, take over their dominance and things like that, or become the dominant force. So it all has to do with the Ascension and everything like that we learned in the House of X and Powers of X. And very interesting here too that we see the Summoner, that game that he started there towards the beginning. Just interesting stuff there. Because it sounds very cryptic, his words about this game and everything, and also just the way the game sounds like something that's not just simply a game, is what it sounds like to me. It sounds like there's some serious stuff going on here. And then, of course, we got all these white pages and all this kind of stuff. The other interesting thing here is we're seeing all those kids that Exodus was there talking to, just how they're kind of having all these. It's almost like Sunday school, what was going on there with that, as they're there talking to these mutants and building up Magneto and all this different stuff. Very, very interesting. And then here, where we've seen Magneto in his chambers, where he has the 3 different suits for the different times. We've finally seen him for like the first time put on the old school like red suit. We've seen him mostly in the white suit that they have here, and then we also seen the helmet for the black suit. I'm guessing this all has to do with the Hellfire Trading Company, some of those type of things. I don't know. I won't confess to know a whole lot about that. I'm sure somebody out there will let me know a little bit more about that. But just great stuff here. And then we also see where the team of mutants are coming together to fight the Cotati, and how they use the different ones to use their powers to go out there into battle. This is something very interesting. I think this plays into some of the exact same kind of stuff going on with Mr. Sinister, and what we see later with the Chimeras that we saw in the Powers of X, with all those different Chimeras of the mutants that had been kind of there was just basically all of them like all combined into one, where they took some of the different genes of mutants and spliced them into one and created these different Chimeras, is what they were. The Shimmer line. I think those were the 3rd generation, might have been the 4th generation that they were talking about those. But very cool stuff here going on in this book. Loved seeing all that battle sequence stuff with all those different mutants and their powers kind of combining together. But just very, very interesting things going on here, as again we do see these types of societies coming together, fighting for dominance of the universe. But I don't know. That's just if you ask me. If you have any other theories, any other kind of stuff that I'm missing out of all this, I'm sure there's plenty. Please feel free to educate me and let me know down in the comments below. Like I said, you guys are always so good about coming in here and helping educate me on a lot of these things going on in the Dawn of X. It's great every time I hear from you guys. Let's go ahead and talk about some of that stuff. That's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the 2nd Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed. Click the little bell and all of that good stuff. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Give it a thumbs down if you don't. It's okay. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. But while you're at it, make sure that you share it with your friends and invite them to come hang out with us here on the 2nd Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week. Go out and read some awesome comic books, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.